quorum?
We do now?
We do. Megan has joined. And we have Elazar, Gisela, and yourself.
All right. Well, let's get this meeting going. I'll make a statement here first. We meet today on settled indigenous land, which is the traditional territory of the Chinookan peoples of the Wasco, Wishram, Warm Springs, and Grand Ronde tribes. Let us honor this land and its traditional native stewards, past, present, and future, and strive today to embody a commitment to cultural equity and reconciliation, ecological conservation, and sustainability. I hereby call this meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Tia, please do a roll call.
Okay. Greg, Chair.
Here.
Megan Ramey, Vice Chair.
Here.
Megan Larrabee.
Here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the casual driver in the corner.
Zella.
Here.
Elazar.
Small town.
Here.
Camera.
Tamara. Is that Elazar? Elazar, can you put yourself on mute? Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
Greg, all yours.
Thank you very much. We're on to agenda item number 3, which is approval of the October 18th minutes. Minutes were included in your packet. Are there any changes the board members would like to make to those minutes? Hearing no changes, I entertain a motion to approve them.
I second.
Megan, you want to first that? I didn't hear
Oh,
first.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
I second.
All right. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the October 18th minutes, please say aye.
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 Okay, and chair votes aye, so the minutes pass. But before we get going, we do have a special guest here with us, somebody that's called in that we didn't get to say goodbye to on his last meeting, but want to welcome Daryl to the beginning of this, and I think he's going to hop off unless he just wants to hang on for old time's sake. But if anybody would like to say something to Daryl, now would be the appropriate time.
Well, Daryl, I never really got the chance to meet you in person, but right off the bat, I really do value every comments that you've made. I feel like in the few chances I've gotten to hear from you, I've learned a lot just from your perspective of how you see things. So thank you so much for really your service here with the CAT board.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say thank you too. I feel like when I started, well, COVID happened, so everything went remote. So we haven't, now it's this hybrid situation, but I've always appreciated your sort of line of thinking and the questions that you ask. And you've been a nice role model to me as newer to the board. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the comment.
Yeah, and Daryl, I just appreciated your candor as far as the financials and calling things out and keeping us in order. And had total confidence in you running that side of the board, and being on boards takes up a lot of time, and appreciate your commitment to the community to make that happen. But jealous of where you're at now and closer to your boat and spending time out on the islands. Maybe not the right time of year to be loving all that, but excited for your next chapter.
Well, Greg, I've definitely enjoyed working with you. You're a great chairman, so I hope you hang in there. And
Well, I was going to make an announcement today. Just kidding. Awesome. Thank you. Amy, you have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your service, but also I have really appreciated your presence and your guidance as I made that transition from planning and development manager to executive director. I feel like your presence was consistent and you really kind of helped me with that transition. So I really appreciate that.
well, I feel like we finally got the right person in the position too, and that you're doing a great job. So keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So
Well,
hey
I-
Daryl, this is Megan. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so I'm so bummed that I can't say goodbye in person, and your presence on the board was very reassuring to me because I knew you were being hyper analytical about our finances, and I just really appreciated everything that you did for us.
Well, Megan, I wanted to tell you that, I remember when you joined the board that you almost didn't, and I'm so glad you did.
I don't remember that. Thank you.
Well, I seem to remember you had second thoughts about it and decided to join anyway, and I think it worked out great for all of us.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Daryl. You're welcome to hang out just, for old time's sake, but I imagine you have better things to do, but thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to say goodbye to you.
Okay, well,
appreciated.
thank you, guys. I really enjoyed working with all of you, and I think not being on the CAP board anymore is going to be one of the things I miss the most about leaving Hood River.
Well, thank you for that. That's
You-
wonderful to hear.
He's lying, but thank you.
No, I'm not. Okay, see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, we'll consider that part of our public comment, but now is the opportunity, if there's any other public here that would like to make a comment. I think you have something to read, Amy, is that correct?
I do, and it looks like there is one other person in the public here. And so I want to give them the opportunity to speak if they would like to. Adrian, would you like to submit public comment?
No, I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to see what's going on.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Thanks for joining us.
All right,
welcome.
so the public comment I have is from Tamara Shannon. She is with the Teacup advocacy group. She would like,
Up Nordic.
yes.
Okay.
There's 3 pieces that she wanted me to share with you all, and she might be able to join a little later, which would be great if so. But she is volunteering to ride with staff to look at stop options for northbound and hopefully potentially a southbound stop at Teacup. Is supportive of CAP conducting a trial to see if the northbound stop can feasibly be moved to the Teacup entrance. And 3 would like staff to consider stopping at the current CAT stop going southbound.
Okay. Any others? Okay. On the resolution and action items, Amy, please go ahead.
All right. So the first one is oath of office for the new board member. So if you don't mind reading this off for
Okay.
Mr. Matt.
You gotta raise your hand. I, Matt.
Your name.
Your
I'm
name.
Matt Althoff.
You solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
the laws thereof,
the laws thereof,
and the policies of Hood River County Transportation District.
and the policies of Hood River County Transportation District,
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of director according to the best of my ability.
of director according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right. You're officially on. How's it feel?
It feels great.
All right.
Thank you.
Remember, Daryl said it was best time of his life.
So it's a high bar. Isn't it?
That's a high bar, one of his favorite things. Well, awesome to have you on board. All right, on to 5B.
Yes, so the next one is board committees. So in 2021, some of you might remember that we or the board approved 5 committees. Those were the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund Committee, the Budget Committee, the Operations Committee, the Equity Committee, and the Transit Master Plan Citizens Advisory Committee. I am asking for 2 things from the board today. I'm recommending them or you all to remove the Operations Committee, as well as the Equity Committee and the Transit Master Plan Citizen Advisory Committee. And then the second thing that I'm asking for is for board members to sign up for the remaining committees, which, if the recommendation is followed, would be the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund Committee or Advisory Committee, the Budget Committee, and that's it. Are there any
You want to give some
questions?
further reasons?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, someone's sunsetting, right? Or
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I didn't include that, but I meant to go over that a little bit. So the logic for removing the operations committee is the intent of that was to really kind of review information and discuss operational information in more detail. I think since 2021, when this was originally proposed, we have changed the information that we have presented at board meetings to, I think, make it a little more informative, and we're always willing to add more information. And then I think if board members would like to dig in more into the operational issues, I think we can always do a temporary committee if the board approves it. But I think the additional reason for that committee isn't necessarily relevant anymore. I also think with staffing resources, it takes a lot of time and energy to do these regular committees. And I think that is something that we can probably reduce time spent on that. The equity committee is very similar. With the intent was to meet quarterly there, and I think because of staff resources, we just wasn't able to make that happen. I still really like the intent of the equity committee. I think it is really great. However, I think there is the opportunity to kind of tie that purpose a little bit more into the STIF advisory committee. Since the STIF advisory committee, the purpose of that is to ensure that our services are meeting the needs of low income, elderly, senior, limited English proficiency individuals. And I think we could probably include some of those elements there with the intent of, when we have a little bit more staff resources, to restart that committee.
Okay.
And then the Transit Master Plan Citizen Advisory Committee, as you stated, is sunsetting, as it has, the purpose of it has completed, as the Transit Master Plan is complete.
perfect.
Are there any questions or concerns?
Okay. Hearing none. Comments? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll comment that I agree, and I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Okay, so to remove the operations committee, TMP advisory committee, and the equity committee?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
I
And then
Okay.
the second piece of that,
Okay,
sorry, were you going already down that road?
go ahead.
It's just, we do need, so Mr. Greg here is part of the. So, sorry, let's start with Gisela. Gisela is part of the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund Advisory Committee, but we need 2 more board members on that committee. And Mr. Greg is on the Budget Committee. So we need 2 more board members for that committee. And then that is our next piece of business.
We need to finish the vote though, right? Chair votes
Oh,
aye.
I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay. I thought you had
I
something
got a
else to-
little excited. I
Okay.
was like, okay, I apologize.
So that passes. How's that?
Great.
Now-
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Just to be official. Because we went through comments and others. All right.
Yeah.
All right, on to our next agenda item.
Oh.
Isn't sorry, I lost my place there since we were doing that, or did I? Gorge to Mountain?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
no, sorry, we got you want to get the people on the right committees.
Yes,
That's where I lost my place there. Okay. So I'm sure we want some other people on the budget committee.
2 people on the budget committee and 2 people on the stiff advisory committee.
I'll go on the stiff committee.
Thank you.
And Tamara may want to be on the budget committee, correct?
I believe
I
so.
think so,
I think
yeah.
that'd probably be the right move.
Yeah.
And when you miss a meeting, we can vote you on it. Is that right?
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah.
If no one else is interested, I'd be happy to be on the budget committee as well.
Awesome, thank you.
So we need one more for the stiff.
1 more for the stiff.
Any others?
I will be on that one if I can. I don't know if it's conflict of interest with my appointment as an ACT representative, but I think it's okay.
Is Elazar on a committee?
He is not.
Elazar, can you hear us? Are you interested in being on a committee? I know he's in bad cell service.
He might
Sure.
have bad cell service. Okay, there you go.
Sorry, I'm in and out, but sure, I'm willing to be on any committee.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Megan, I don't think there'd necessarily be any conflict of interest, but it sounds like maybe Elazar is willing to do that. Maybe that's
Sure.
the right call.
Yeah.
And then I mean, as per all our meetings, we will make sure that any meetings that we have with these committees, the board gets the minutes so that you can keep in the loop and add to those discussion items as you see fit.
All right,
Sounds good. Thank you.
okay, now on to 5C, Gorge to Mountain differential pay policy.
Okay. In your guys's packets, there was a memo and the potential policy for you guys to review on a differential for the employees that operate the Gorge to Mountain Express service during this season. In the past, CAT has offered a bonus to operators of the service due to the driving conditions and just increased training that is required to operate the Gorge to Mountain. Last year, we were unable to offer that due to the Oregon paid equity that was put into place, but that has since changed and we have additional options that we can offer staff. So we would like to ask the board to look at this and offer the drivers $1 per hour while they are operating that service. Yeah, it wouldn't be if they were operating a different service, like if
So
they
only
had
when they're
split
doing-
shifts, it's
Yeah.
only the Gorge to Mountain when they're operating that.
And just for some clarity, that would be a $1,450 total.
That's my next question, okay.
Which is in the budget, so we wouldn't have any,
It's already been
Problems
budgeted,
there.
you're saying?
yes.
We added some extra room in there for this.
Yeah, I have my CDL and I've driven a bus in the snow up there and had to chain up, it sucks.
Yeah, Imagine.
It's dangerous at times and, we struggle at Mountain Meadows to get drivers.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's not every, I think it's fun for some people, but it's stressful driving a big bus and having to do that, so I
Yeah.
support that 100%.
Is that a sufficient carrot? I mean, it's what sort of percent bump is that to an average driver's wage?
So I guess to put in perspective, so I think it was 3 years ago before the pay equity law came into place. We were giving a bonus, I think, of $250 for drivers. And so this would actually be more than that. Depending on how many runs they're assigned to. So the feedback I've heard, and maybe Jeff, you can add on to this, is that that does help drivers feel compensated for this type of work. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the idea is that, I think one of the tough things is getting people to cover those shifts, and this is also sort of this incentive for people to pick up those shifts, and there's also, right, the more of those shifts you do, the bigger your
That makes sense, just,
differential, so
it's
it's
just,
yeah.
you wanna really kind of provide that push to say, yeah, this is.
So a dollar would
It's-
get you
it's
the
helpful.
people that wanna drive it. So-
That's all I'm asking, is a dollar, do you think sufficient, or should we?
Based on the feedback we've heard, yes.
Okay, excellent.
Okay,
I'd entertain a motion if somebody wants to make one.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll
looks like we got-
I'll make the motion.
okay, thank you. We got a second. Any further
I'll second the
discussion on this?
motion.
Yeah, we got a lot of seconds. I love it. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of raising the wage for those doing the Gorge to Mountain by $1 per hour, please say aye.
Aye.
I saw your mouth move, Megan Larrabee.
It's ongoing.
Aye.
All right, any contrary minded? Okay, chair votes aye. That passes. Happy for the drivers there.
thank you. Appreciate that.
On to 5D, Board Executive Committee elections.
Yes, so as we've discussed, Daryl has left, and so that leaves us in opening for the Secretary Treasury position on the Executive Committee. So these type of elections do need to happen in a public forum. So we are asking if anyone would like to nominate. I might be going into your realm, I apologize.
No,
Greg.
that's,
So we're looking for nominations for people who would like to be in the Secretary Treasurer role. And then we need to hold a vote.
and I believe Tamara expressed interest, correct? Do we have others express any interest?
Oh, there she is.
Oh, speak.
Hi. We just got to the agenda item of the election of the Secretary Treasurer. And we were looking for nominations of Secretary Treasurer.
But everybody voted no on you because of your attendance. Because, the tardiness, they're like, we can't have that with
The weather changes make you Greg happy.
Time change, weather change.
And that chair has a funny lean on it, so.
Do we have any other interest from the board for that position?
Get it higher back.
I just see scared faces up there, so that's good. Cameron, you're interested in the Secretary
Yes, I am.
Treasurer? Yes. Okay.
I nominate myself.
Okay, can you do that?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I'll nominate. Sam.
There you go. Thank you. So we do have a nomination for Tampa. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Gisela. Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of Cameron? Please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed?
I saw that.
No. Chair votes aye. All right. Thank you for stepping up to do that. Much appreciated.
And thank you. I mean, I want to be as a part of the program as I can to help it out. So,
Okay, thank you.
and that's not beer that I'm popping there.
Okay, next on the agenda is 5E, government can't stop reading.
Yes, thank you. So as you all, where's my notes? So included in your packet was a memo to you all outlining my justification for proposing the removal of the government camp stop from the Gorge to Mountain Express service. I do have maps here for people who maybe aren't quite as familiar with the service to understand specifically what I am talking about. So I wanted to summarize my key points that I've already included in the memo, but add some additional data points that help you can understand why I'm asking the board to consider removing the bus stop for this upcoming season, which is expected to begin December 9th. So the first one is ridership. Last season, 1.4% of our total ridership came from riders boarding at government camp. That's about 115 people the entire season. We have our total ridership of the whole service was 7,910 riders. For teacup, that's my second point. By removing the government camp stop, we would allow us, or that would allow us to serve teacup better, as the bus would not need to go from Meadows to government camp and then back to teacup, and those riders would have to then stay on it for that entire service. They could go to Meadows and then back to teacup. So I would assume that with that change, it would increase our ridership at teacup. I think that also could be seen as an equity issue too, as that using that site does not necessarily require a lift pass. So I think that would be a welcome for community members. The second is the expense. Providing the service, or sorry, the third. Providing the service to the government camp takes a lot of time and is expensive. Best case scenario, service between Mount Hood Meadows and government camp and back to Mount Hood Meadows takes 40 minutes. Last season, we saw that on average, that trip took 1 to 2 hours, depending on weather and traffic. Last season, we did that trip twice a day, which cost us in wages and operational expenses $20,000 conservatively. So that's about 15% of our total expense is going to 1.4% of the ridership. And those people are probably not community members. Those are probably folks who are visitors. And so that means that on average, it's roughly $200 per ride for the rider that is coming from or boards at government
Is that
camp.
good?
To give you some perspective, for the rest of our riders who don't board on that at government camp, it's about $15 per ride. Funding, as some of the board members may remember, in 2021, we applied for federal land access program funding for the Gorge to Mountain service year-round. We have since been awarded that funding, but I'm not expecting to have access to it until 2025. Until this funding is available, ODOT is assisting with funding, but it is limited, and we need to make sure that it lasts. Otherwise, we may need to dip into statewide transportation improvement formula funds to help supplement the service. And as you all know, that is the service or the funds that help pay for our city route, our Upper Valley, our Hood River Connect, and our Dial Ride. So the more we dip into those funds, it'll impact when we can add weekend service to the Upper Valley, which is important for vulnerable populations in our community. The fifth is reliability. Most of the delays that occur on the Gorge to Mountain service occur between Mount Hood Meadows and government camp, which delays the last pickup of the night at Mount Hood Meadows. It was typical for a full bus of riders to wait up to 1.5 hours at Mount Hood Meadows to return to Hood River. So with the service, you're inconveniencing the majority of our riders for a very small amount of ridership, if any, depending on the night. And then safety, the portion of road between Mount Hood Meadows and government camp is considered the more dangerous, and we are expecting conditions to be worse this year since ODOT is reducing maintenance. So those are the reasons. That's why I'm asking you to consider this. The big issue is that this would break the connection that we have with Mount Hood Express, but my intent is that when we do receive that flat funding, so that more sustainable funding source, that we would bring back that linkage, although it would most likely take the form of a shuttle. So it would go just between government camp and Mount Hood Meadows, and we could do it more times a day, which would create better connections and would reduce the reliability issues that we're having currently. If this is approved, we will ensure to advertise the removal of the government camp bus stop through newspaper, our friends in Sandy and Clackamas, and digital media platforms. Are there any questions?
So this was a trial thing that really didn't work out so well. I have to echo the comments about concerns with the plowing. So the yard over on the government campsite has lost 10 drivers that are unfunded. They're trying to fill those with some seasonal drivers, 5 who aren't trained, and they have yet to be able to hire them. So we're expecting big delays on that side on 26 from the plowing, and at any time of night, the delays that can cause, there are times it takes people 4 hours to get to government camp from Mount Hood Meadows. So I think removing that from route for reliability and for everybody is probably a wise move for our district.
So you're saying that ODOT's decreasing its service because they're short-staffed?
They are decreasing their service because they had funding removed.
Yeah.
Due to other priorities with the state. So with their rising costs to operate, they had to reduce services. So around the state, they've created zones and have limited service in zones. On the Hood River side, they're going to be down 2 drivers. You'll see some issues in some snow parks around the state, not getting plowed, even though it's funded separately from the general fund. That's done through the snow park passes that are sold. So there's funding there, but their priorities are going to be some of the main arteries, and my guess is we're going to see some issues. Less plowing, less sanding. Scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
But this side, actually the yard down on the Hood River side in Parkdale is actually staffed pretty well and looking okay. We've talked with them, so.
Yeah, that's good to know. And Hobie, is there any additional information that you wanted to add to that?
Trying to get there. As far as maintenance, I'll send a link in the chat just to talk about that if you have any questions. There's a fact sheet for the reductions that we can share with the group. For the reduction of government camp service, I think the notices and that piece has been followed. So what the board decides is acceptable, and you've done the part as far as noticing the public and making sure that there were ability for comments with this change of service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I think it makes sense. I'm a little torn because if it's going to be more treacherous and more dangerous, in theory, then you kind of want like a safer options so people that don't try and make the drive. But I also see that how it really hinders our CAT service as a whole to be somewhat unreliable, running late. I mean, that I live off of 35 and spend a lot of time in the mountains, so I know that road, particularly between Meadows and Timberline or Govey, is just very messy regularly. So.
Yeah, and the intent is again to, when we get the more sustainable funding, to re-add that and do it in a very thoughtful way to ensure that it has higher ridership and higher impact. I think the key thing here is really the expense for the ridership that we have been seeing.
And as a business operator, like, I was excited to see this service expand with, hopes that we'd intentionally go all the way around the mountain. And with that hat on, I would want to see it continue, but understanding the challenges with my cat hat on, it makes sense to remove it, but I'm gonna get fired tomorrow at work. No big deal. Okay. Thank you for the discussion. I'd entertain a motion if anybody agrees with that.
So moved.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I haven't gotten a chance to ask a couple of questions. So I missed the ridership between Mount Hood Meadows and Government Camp.
So I don't have a great way of determining that. I can just tell you that the boarded rides at government camp were 115. 115 riders for the season. And if I looked at, I could look at the offboardings, so the riders that got off at government camp, if that would help, Megan. And I can share that with you. I was mostly look at the boarding riders, but what I saw from the ridership was that it really is a variety of uses. It does not look like there's consistent ridership on specific days. It's very variable. On holidays, there were more people who were using it, but roughly it was about a rider per day.
Okay, and because I was kind of perplexed at, like I understand the around the mountain service being the vision, but I didn't understand why we were going to government camp. Is it for employees?
Yes, I believe my understanding is to add more access for employees, but also for people to get to Meadows from the other side as well, to reduce the amount of traffic.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that's a good, yep. Well, I'm supportive of it, for the teacup reason alone. I was trying to understand the comment letter from, is it Tamara at the beginning? What does she mean by replace the northbound stop for teacup?
Yeah, so we've been working with them and looking at other options of potentially moving the stop, because it's currently at the northbound exit of Teacup, and potentially moving it up to the southbound exit closer to the Teacup entrance, so that users don't have to walk through the parking lot.
Because if
Oh,
you
yeah,
drop off at that end, you can ski right away.
totally.
You can ski down to that part.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought she meant drop off as the, sorry, as the bus was heading north or southbound. Okay. And my only nitpicky thing, and you'll find that I ask this a lot, is instead of saying accident, we say crash. So in that, just that briefing document, we said accidents, referring to vehicular accidents. Can we please call them crashes? Because that is now best practice.
Yes, and I know you have said that before, so I apologize, and I
No
will
problem.
work on remembering.
Sorry, that is now the what? Help educate me there.
The typical vernacular to use instead of accidents, crashes.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
Hey, you bet.
Thank you, Megan, for your comment there. Any questions? All right, we do have a motion on the table for the government stamp or stop removal from Tamara. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
I'll
Yes,
make
I
the
agree.
motion.
Okay. Thank you. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? All right, chair votes aye. Unanimously passed.
I want to make a comment. Once we started on Facebook, and anybody who is on Facebook, the more that we like or share information coming on from Kat, the more it gets out. And so that's, I really want to encourage, because I see that coming up and no one's liking the posts or sharing them, but it's critical. You are, I'll be
You've
checking.
seen, I've been.
I've noticed, thank you.
Yeah, okay, but if you do, and past that, I mean, right now, I think it's gonna be critical to get this information out. But pass it on to your friends, to your family, do it as often as you can. And if you are on Facebook, if you're not a problem, but it really helps to broaden the information.
Yeah, and the purpose is to ensure that people see it, right?
Right.
So anything that we can do to do that, because to get the awareness out.
Yes, because now you're sharing. At one time you couldn't share the cat post, and now I've seen more often that you can,
Okay,
and that
good,
helps. Yeah.
great.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, on to agenda item 6, financial report. Tia, please go ahead.
Okay, so in your guys' packets, I have included the statement of activity and the budget versus actuals for October. We are looking good so far. We've started to see more of the reimbursements coming in, and the submission of the Q1 reimbursements have started. Does anybody have any questions on this portion of the statement of activity? Greg, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Anybody else? No. Okay. Also in full swing with the audit, there have been like just a few finalizing documents that have been requested. So working with them on that. And the second portion of the audit, which is the single audit, has started and has gone smoothly so far. The LGIP account, I'm just waiting for, they had to review the board notes approving the LGIP account to be open. So they have those, and we should be moving forward here anytime. Any questions on anything?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, operations report.
Cool. Okay, safety scores, we are back down to 88. That was due to an increase in speeding, but we did have a decrease in harsh events. I do have a typo in the text there. I wrote 89, it should be 88 for October. The text below the graph there. Just upcoming, I found a new feature in Samsara that's going to should hopefully give us data on rolling stops. I don't exactly know how it's going to work. It just enabled it. So I guess we'll look out for that for the next ops report next month. It should, it's supposed to send us a notification, but driver's not stopping at a stop sign.
So when the speeding, is this just noted on the buses computer program? Or is this by police determined when you say speeding
This is just from the computer program.
from the computer?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's broken down. Did you want more information on that, or is that?
No, that's what I wanted to know. When
Okay.
you say speeding, it is not incidents or anything other than off the computer, correct?
Correct, yeah, so this
Okay.
whole safety score portion will, yeah, I think if there was ever incident that involved a driver and a police officer, that would be noted in the incident reports.
Okay.
And yeah. Yes, this is busted by us, not police. Okay, so moving on to the operations data, I guess just looking at, the blank spot for the OTP, just that we're gonna, we have actually 3, they're not called interviews, demos for new software. So I know we settled on using the software that we have right now, and reduced our service with our use of Downtowner. But so we're looking forward to checking out those new programs. Other than that, our hours and miles driven, our miles driven are down, and our fuel costs are down to 41 cents per mile, which is similar to what we had in July. I think cost of fuel has gone down a little bit, and also our services are, we're running less service than we were. Let's see, incident reports, we had 1 customer complaint, 3 vehicle incidents, and 9 customer incidents. I do want to call it, I think part of why one of the reasons we're seeing more increases in our customer incidents, and I think we put a strong emphasis on reporting from our staff, and I think we've just been improving on to the extent of what we are. We're just being more thorough, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And yes, and we'll keep being that thorough, so we have consistent data. So the formal complaints, there was a passenger with a disability that did not get off on their planned bus stop and stated that the driver stranded them at Gateway Transit Center. It was confirmed in Samsara that we did provide service to the stop. It is unclear why passengers did not exit. And they were picked up at Gateway by the caretaker. Since then, we have reviewed our services with the caretaker and provided resources for additional training on how to use our buses. And I believe Sarah was involved in those conversations, which was really, I think it had a really nice resolution, actually. So pretty good job to Sarah. Vehicle incidents were all, handled internally, nothing major, usually in the yard, kind of fender bender bumper things. And then we have seen, as far as customer incidents, we are seeing a rise in incidents with vulnerable populations. We are currently looking into training opportunities for our staff. I think we're just seeing a common thread of like how to diffuse situations better, like things that might escalate a little more than they really need to if we're using better and clearer communication.
Do you have examples of
Yeah.
what you're talking about there?
Sure, yeah. We had one incident where I'm remembering. So I don't remember exactly what happened with the passenger, but I know. Oh, sorry, I'm remembering. So an officer actually dropped off a passenger to our bus stop, and that person was trying to get on our bus and didn't have fare. And I'm not exactly sure why. I'd have to read the incident report again of why it became hostile, but one of our supervisors actually went out and was concerned for their like personal vehicle. And
As well as there was a bus that was arriving about the same time.
yeah, so he was concerned. I think they were throwing stuff in the shelter. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's the individual was removing things from the trash can and throwing them all over the outside area, as well as starting to throw them at our employee. And the intent was to ensure that the passengers were not in harm's way or the driver, but also was worried about personal vehicle too. So that was something that we worked with police on. We also reviewed with staff of when there is an active situation that we feel like the police do need to be called. The steps are to radio drivers to ensure that if anybody is around here, that they do not come to the office, that they stay away until we have notified that it's safe to come here. We have also the instruction is if there are any staff, they should lock the door and stay inside. And if they feel like there is concern with the individual breaking the glass, they should go into the restrooms, as those are more or less kind of safe zones, and make sure they have their cell phone and call the police. So we're working on just making sure there's very concrete, very simple steps. I'm also working on working with our local partners to get more training for our staff when working with vulnerable populations, but also when there's high stress, high risk moments. But what are the things that are kind of within our scope that we should be doing to keep ourselves safe? But also as a best practice that I found when I was at the conference last week, we were talking about security. That was a huge theme. And these big agencies kept on stressing the need for working with your local agencies. So your local community-based agencies, not only just the police department, but also the houseless outreach or all the other different organizations that may exist to kind of create a work group to kind of figure out how better to address some of these situations and make sure they're all aware when they do happen and maybe there's additional help that they can get. So that's what I'm working on to kind of help reduce these type of issues. but also with our staff too.
Do we provide any de-escalation training for our staff?
Currently, no, we don't.
So that is also another thing that we're trying to identify the right one that'll actually be helpful instead of maybe not helpful. Also, Jeff might have the opportunity to join a TriMet training that, from my understanding, could maybe happen in the next month or so. So I'm hoping to kind of get him, that we could leverage our partnership with them and could have access to some of their training that you could bring to the team.
Okay. All right, thank you for answering that question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you would like a person to like kind of give you some feedback about trainings, Letty Moretti, I would say is a great person to reach out to. She's really the person who coordinates a lot of our trainings at One Community Health, and she might have some suggestions as well if you are looking for
That is
anything, Amy.
a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, okay to move on. Cool. Other updates for just a quick winter update. Most of our buses are all, except for 121. I had 216 on there. 121 is our dial-a-ride van. It's the only one that doesn't have studded tires on it. You just okay, sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
It's the only one that doesn't have studded tires on it. Should have them for the weekend. All of our buses are prepped with winter kits, which are including this year. We added water and some snacks for I think just to one of our drivers was stuck on I-84 for I think 4 extra hours, and just making sure we have those emergency systems set up for drivers. Other than that, the 215, the Gillig that sold, was one of the Gilligs I think we got from, I don't know where that one came from, now that I think about it. One of the other,
Wacom.
those Wacom, okay, that was from Wacom that sold for 2,425. We bought that vehicle for about 3,000, so we're gonna be selling 213 and 212 next, which will leave us with four Gilligs for the winter service. And that's at most we'd run 3 at a time and gives us one backup, and we can also use our cutaways if we need to.
And the truck that we have for more staff use is also going to be going up on auction as well.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the titles in the mail. They're just waiting to receive the title, and then the truck with the plow will.
So this will be great and kind of slims down our fleet, but also allows us to have some cost savings of insurance and just storage fees. So we're in the right direction.
Cool. Employee of the month is Zach McFarland. Zach is our most senior driver, he's our most senior full-time driver. No one's more senior than Dan. He's been here for like 15 years.
I think it's 16.
Is it 16? Wow. Yeah, Zach's just come a really long way in the company from really stepping up recently, and he's been cross-training in the office, learning different roles of supervisors, helping cover shifts in that area as well, and it's been super willing to like part of his new support role is flexibility, and he's been able to just on the fly, and like someone calls out sick, he's jumping into shifts left and right, and just holding a really good positive attitude through all of it, and really good at communicating if he can't in a really clear and kind way. And we just really, it's been all over across the board. A lot of his peers have been saying his name and putting a good word in for him, so we're stoked to have him. Yep, I think he's driving for Meadows this year too. That concludes the operations report.
So there was one last agenda item for Gorge to Mountain Express update, service update. I think it's that was kind of, it's been on there for a while, but it was mostly dependent on what we decided today. And so we're just finalizing the schedule, and we are expecting to have the schedule out in the next week or so. or at least the customer facing schedule, and we're working on the bid in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'd like to bid the 22nd for the 9th is our push right now. That's what we're hoping for.
Yep.
To launch on the 9th.
That's also a little dependent on when Meadows opens, but that is our goal.
You don't want to just drop people off. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Yeah, forgot ridership report.
Yeah, I looked through the numbers. They were up over last October and
Yeah,
hours were down, so
sure.
numbers look pretty good.
Okay, cool.
Unless I don't want to speak for everybody else if they had questions on the numbers.
Okay, I'll say one thing about it though, the Cascade, just the reduction of Cascade locks, we saw an increase in our dial ride, and I think that was because of the those riders that were using. We're
That was the
doing,
intent though, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
great.
that's a good thing, yeah.
Awesome.
This is Tamara. I do have a question. Amy, I talked to Amy before the meeting about my interest in getting the teacup stop more functional. And I was just wondering, like, am I volunteered to go a certain day to look at that route, or what was there discussion, or just somebody will update me later?
Yeah, so Tamara, I'll follow up with you. I did read your public comment, so the board is aware of your thoughts and what you wanted to convey to them. And I will follow up with you probably next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did have a public comment section, and thank you very much for submitting that. Much appreciated.
You bet.
Okay, we are now on to the executive director report. Amy, would you go ahead, please?
Yes, thank you. So I just have a couple of items. They are all informational updates only. So the first one is a facility update. As we have been talking for a long time, we have been looking to replace our HVAC system. We've gone through the procurement process and I'm about ready to sign the contract. So that we are hoping in the next 3 weeks that will be replaced. Or at least they will be starting the work on that. It is a $67,000 hit. I have confirmed with ODOT that I can use some STIF funds for that, but is a big chunk of money. That was the of the different estimates we received, that was the lowest one by quite a bit, actually. The second would be staffing update. As you can all see, we have a new face here. This is Tim Ravens. He is our new administrative assistant. He will be helping me with board support. So you will be seeing communication from him regarding the board meetings, that he will be doing the minutes and assisting with the board meeting materials.
Probably should have said hi to you up front.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, so we're super excited. Tia is super excited.
Very.
And you'll be seeing more from him. The next is the flag stop policy update. We are holding as of now for removing that flag stop policy. We had talked about it a while ago and I had put it on this agenda, and I just wanted to update you guys that we are holding it for now because we still haven't been able to move forward with the additional bus stops, the formal bus stops that we would need before we remove that. And that is, I would say, mostly on us. Just resources have been low to be able to really give that the time that it needs. So I'm hoping probably in the next couple months we'll have some movement on that. Great, and that is all that I have for my executive director's report.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Will you present your trip to us next month, or did you?
Oh, of my, yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about it.
Discussion items right now,
Yeah.
is the perfect time for that.
Okay, I would
Alright.
love to hear about it.
So last week, for just a reminder for everybody, I traveled to Phoenix to be part of the Impact conference. I presented the Gorge to Mountain service along with another organ provider and some other providers that were talking about how to use transit to gain access to recreational sites and trails. So it was a really great experience. I thought it was received well. I also got the opportunity to do a lot of networking. I got to see Congressman Blumenthal. speak, so that was pretty great. Apparently, he's one of the founding fathers of this specific conference. And I got to talk to so the director of safety at TriMet, as well as the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and do a little networking to see how we can further our partnership with them, and leverage their resources. And specifically by seeing what we can do long-term to have the same fare system, so there's a more consistent experience for users coming from our service to TriMet, and vice versa. And then the other thing I was talking to them about was just security and what were ways that we could partner with them to ensure that the safety of our passengers when they get to or from Gateway, but also just kind of learn from their experiences. So that was really neat. I also got to, from like the transit nerd side of me, I got to hear some leaders from really big transit systems, and it was really neat to hear their learnings, and so that was great. I also, you guys may know I'm from Phoenix, and their bus system since I was young has grown tremendously. It's insane. And I was staying at my parents' house, and I was able to use the express bus to get to downtown Phoenix. It took me 30 minutes. Like, that was not a thing when I was growing up. And I was having so much fun. The first day I was going there on this bus, it was clean, it was comfortable, I was having a great ride. That I forgot that not all the drivers know where I'm going like they do here. And so I forgot that I had to pull the cord. So I went a couple extra stops accidentally, but it was a blast. So, and I think I learned a lot and did a lot of great networking.
Were there any presentations on e-buses or where they're going, or any
There were
opportunities for us there?
couple, I did not attend them. I was focused more on the security ones, and fair programs, those ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cool, yeah.
Awesome. Great question. Any other discussion items? We're on agenda item number 9 from the rest of the board.
Can I just wrap back around really quick, and ask Jeff a quick question on what the highlighted cells mean in your ridership data?
Oh, yeah, so you said
The
yellow.
yellow one.
yeah, so it was in the beginning of September, we went through a bunch of ridership auditing basically, and I was going through all these ridership sheets and making sure there's a lot of manual number crunching, and I was checking to make sure all the spreadsheet formulas were accurate, and anything that is highlighted, I changed from their updates from
Updated.
previous information that was given to the board.
There were not significant changes, but because there were changes to what we had already presented to you, we thought it was important to be transparent.
Okay, no, great. Could I ask could you add a row and just represent like a year-over-year change as like a percent? I mean, it's nice being able to see October 22 to October 23 and see that, we got like a 10% bump in ridership. But if you could just add that row,
For each route.
just at the bottom, I think for
Okay.
all routes, I mean, it's just more me being a bit of a math nerd, I guess. I don't know, but I think it'd be kind of interesting to just look at how.
And you want that as a
Yeah,
percent?
maybe,
Okay.
I think it's a great suggestion, maybe a good idea, just put a column in there and just say the variance between year over year on that month.
Okay,
And then that way it'd just be a column down there and it'd do all the totals.
cool, yeah.
Thanks, great suggestion. Okay, any other discussion items? Okay, item number 10, upcoming events. I know we have the holiday party on December 9th. Yahoo, hopefully everybody has it on the calendar for board members, and good time to mix with the entire team here.
And if you could just confirm numbers with us, because we will be catering it, so then okay, thank you.
2 for 2.
I'm waiting for my invitation still, so.
Oh.
You wanna come?
I'd love to.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
I'll also
Anybody else on the
attend.
call, let her know if you're coming?
Yeah, I'll be attending. We also have our holiday party that day as well, so I'll probably attend half of it.
Oh, oh no, I'm sorry.
We'll just
I
see
know
which one's
everyone wants to
funner
party
and
that
bang.
day.
I mean,
That
obviously, we're the most fun. I mean, come on.
Is the same.
And I'm sure we'll have bread baskets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or texture.
Oh,
Yeah,
Is
it's
it all
gonna be
one
our
community
first
health? Or
holiday. Well, it's actually going to be our first holiday with North Shore. I'm not sure if you guys knew, we're merging with North Shore across
Oh.
the river with White Salmon, and it's going to be
Yeah.
our first holiday as like everyone together. Yeah.
Nice.
that's great.
Make sure you guys ride those cat buses home soon. I'm drinking and driving.
Yeah.
That'd be very nice.
Won't be operating at that time, but
Okay, dang it.
Any other upcoming events? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
You just wanted to hang out here longer?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tamara. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Gisela. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Bye.
All right, chair votes aye. We are hereby adjourned at 5:07 PM. Thank you very much.
thank you, Hobie, for joining. Appreciate it. And
Thank
thank
you,
everyone
everyone.
else.
Great. How
Yeah.
many